And so today we're starting a new chapter. Let me pull it up. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, of course, we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto, The Smile of Krishna. And we are reading chapter 22. And you have the intro of the chapter and text 1 through 4. This chapter describes how the marriageable daughters of the cowherd men worshipped Katyayani to get Lord Sri Krishna as their husband, and how Krishna stole the garments from the young girls and gave the girls benedictions. During the month of Margashirsha, that is, Krishna says in the Gita, what is you have your Krishna trivia chapter, of fishes I am the shark, of men I am the monarch. Out of months, he says he is the Margashirsha. Actually, this month is actually dedicated to Krishna, just as the Damodar month is actually understood to be dedicated to Srimati Radharani. Margashirsha, beginning in the, I think it's middle of November, December, is dedicated to Sri Krishna. Every day, early in the morning, the young daughters of the cowherds would take one another's hands and, singing Krishna's transcendental qualities, go to bathe, to the Yamuna to bathe. Desiring to obtain Krishna as their husband, they then worshipped goddess Katyayani with incense, flowers, and other items. So you can imagine this beautiful scene. These are all the unmarried gopis headed by Dhanishta. These are very young. They're all holding hands and singing. Beautiful lush forests of Vrindavan. One day, the young gopis left their garments on the shore as usual and began playing in the water while chanting the Lord Krishna's activities. Suddenly, Krishna himself came there and took away all the garments and climbed a nearby kadamba tree. Wanting to tease the gopis, Krishna said, I understand how fatigued you gopis are from your austerities. So please come onto the shore and take back your clothes. The gopis then pretended to become angry and said the cold water of the Yamuna was giving them great pain. If Krishna did not give them back their garments, they said, they would form King Kamsa. All that has happened. But if he did give the clothes back, they would willingly carry out his orders in the mood of humble servants. Krishna replied that he had no fear of King Kamsa, and that if the girls really intended to follow his command and be his maidservants, they should immediately come onto the shore and take their respective garments. The girls, trembling from the cold, climbed out of the water with their two hands covering their private parts. Krishna, who felt great affection for them, again spoke. Because while executing a vow, you bathed in the water naked, you have committed offense against the demigods. To counteract it, you should offer obeisances with joined palms. Then your vow of austerity will achieve its full result. The gopis followed this instruction and, folding their hands in respect, offered obeisances to Sri Krishna. Satisfied, he gave them back their clothing. But the young girls had become so attracted to him that they could not leave. Understanding their minds, Krishna said that he knew that they worshipped Katyayani to get him as their husband. And because they had offered their hearts to him, Their desires would never again become tainted by the mood of materialistic enjoyment. Just as fried barley corns can no longer grow into shoots. The next autumn, he told them, their most cherished desire would be fulfilled. Then the gopis, satisfied, returned to Braja, and Sri Krishna and the cowherd friends went off to a distant place to graze the cows. Sometime later, the boys felt disturbed by the great heat of summer. They took shelter at the base of a tree that stood just like an umbrella. The Lord then said that the life of a tree is the most excellent. For even while feeling pain, the tree continues to protect others from heat, rain, snow, and so on. With its leaves, flowers, fruits, shade, roots, bark, wood, fragrance, sap, ashes, pulp, and sprouts, a tree fulfills the desires of everyone. This kind of life is ideal, indeed, said Krishna. The perfection of life is to act with one's vital energy, wealth, intelligence, and words to benefit of all. Prana, what is it? Prana, Diyavachaha. After the Prana Arter Diyavachaha. After the Lord had glorified the trees in this way, the entire company went to the Yamuna, where the cowherd boys let the cows drink the water and also drank themselves. So now we're going to begin verse 1. 1 second. Shri Sukha Vacha Hemante Pratame Masi Nandaraja Kumarikaha Cheru Havisham Bunjanaha Bunjana Katyayani Archana Vratam. So they're setting the scene. They're setting the scene. This is the Kala, the Desha, the Patra. Shukadev Goswami said, during the first month of the winter season, so this is the time, place, and circumstance. The young unmarried girls of Gokul observed the vow of worshipping goddess Katyayani. For the entire month, they only ate unspiced khichdi. So this is not just without spices, this is without salt. These are, great yoginis, this is practicing great austerities. I say young, these girls were 6 years old, Krishna was 7. Of course, also, we find in Shiva Ram Swami's book, he describes, who can tell me, at what age did Krishna go to Mathura? Question for what age did Krishna go to Mathura? So Andrea said, yes, 10 or 11. So he had been on the planet for almost 11 years because he had his 11th birthday when he entered after going to Mathura. But he's described in the literature as a 16-year-old. And why is that? Because acharyas have mentioned it in one of Shivaram Swami's books. He gives the evidence of this, that certain children born of powerful lines, like royal princes, very exalted personalities, sometimes they grow very, very quickly. So you'll find in Srimad Bhagavatam, it describes that Krishna is walking at a very early age. He starts to walk very early. And so Krishna, when he arrived in Mathura, he had developed like a 16-year-old. So here Krishna is 7, gopis are 6, but it's understood they're a little bit, they're already matured a little bit more than that. And Krishna, he will say he also brought some little boys with him, that they're at the age where the gopis would not even be embarrassed to be in front of them because they're actually quite young. They're 3 years old. The word Hemante refers to the month Margashirsha, from approximately the middle of November to the middle of December, according to the Western calendar. In chapter 22 of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada comments that the gopis first ate havishyana, a kind of food prepared by boiling together mung dal and rice without any spices or turmeric. So I was listening to Chandra Swami. He was talking about how when he first joined the temple, he first went to New Vrindavan in 1973. And he said that in New Vrindavan in 1973, devotees ate very opulently. They had all kinds of sweets, and you had all these. So you have sweet rice, you have rabri, you have burfi, you have sandesh, you have rasagula, you have hundreds and hundreds of sweets made from the fresh milk, the wonderful milk of the cows there. And so he said that it was at that time, it was known that in Vrindavan you eat like a king. And eventually everybody became sick because they're eating too many rich foods constantly, always eating these rich foods. And they got in contact with an Ayurvedic doctor. I think he actually came to the place. They said it was probably one of the first Indians they ever even met. And he told them that they had to have this unspiced rice and no salt, and then this mung dal with no spices. And he says it was horrible. It was such a horrible experience for them to have to, in their youth to, it's one thing, no spices, but no salt. It tastes, it's really hard to do. Just this liquidy mung dal. And he said, yes, eventually they all became this purified their body. They became healthy like this. So this havishyana, this type of food is meant to keep the body nice and clean and pure. Sometimes people do this as just to reset the body, Khichdi fast. I know our Kishore Chandra, he does that sometimes. So no spices, no turmeric, no salt. According to a Vedic injunction, this kind of food is recommended to purify the body before one enacts a ritualistic ceremony. Okay, next verse. Aplutam basi kalindya jalante chodite kritva prakritim devim anachur nipasaikitim Gandamalya Surabhibhir Balibir Dupadipakaha Ucha Vachais Chopaharer Pravala Pala Handulai. My dear king, after they bathed in the water of the Yamuna, just as the sun was rising, the gopis made an earthen deity of the goddess Durga on the riverbank. Now, this is understood. It's very cold, very cold. And if any of you have been to Vrindavan, we see in the winter, it is very cold. It's wet, cold. Then they worshipped her with such aromatic substances as sandalwood pulp, along with other items, both opulent and simple, including lamps, fruits, betel nuts, newly grown leaves, and fragrant garlands and incense. The word Bali Bihi, this is the purport, very short purport for this verse, and we got one more verse we cover, indicates offerings of clothing, ornaments, food, and so on. Okay, our last verse. Katyayani Mahamaye Mahayogini Adishwari Nanda Gopa Sutam Devi Patame Kurute Namaha Iti Mantra Japantyastha Pujam Chakru Kumarikaha. Each of the young unmarried girls performed her worship while chanting the following mantra. O Gadaskatyayani, O great potency of the Lord, O possessor of mystic power, great mystic power, and mighty controller of all, please make the son of Nanda Maharaj my husband. I offer my obeisances unto you. Purport. So now we have an extensive purport. Everyone, bring your attention in. Here. Arjuna is sitting right there on the chariot with Krishna, but Krishna is constantly encouraging Arjuna to hear, because it's an active thing. It requires putting our consciousness there. Like if you're in a noisy room, you can hear one conversation onto the other just by applying our attention there. So we got to purport. According to the various acharyas, goddess Durga mentioned in this verse is not the illusory energy of Krishna called Maya, rather the internal potency of the Lord known as Yoga Maya. The distinction between the internal and external or illusory potency of the Lord is described in the Narada Pantaratra in a conversation between Shruti and Vidya. And we read the Sanskrit. Janati eka parakantam saiva durgam tadatmaka yapara parama shaktir mahavishnu sarupani yasya vijnana matrena paramatmanaha mahurta deva devasya praptir bhavati lantyataha ekayam prema sarvasya swabhava gokuleshwari anya sulabho keya adidevo akileshwaraha asya avarika shaktir. Avarika, this is the avarnatmaka potency, covering potency. That is the throwing, that's pulling down. Mahai Mayai Kaleshwari Yai Mukdam Jagat Sarvam Sarva Deha Abhimaninaha. Okay. Quote, the Lord's inferior potency, known as Durga, is dedicated inferior potency known as Durga is dedicated to his loving service. Being the Lord's potency, this inferior energy is not different from him. There is another superior potency whose form is on the same level of that of God himself. Simply by scientifically understanding this supreme potency, one can immediately achieve the supreme soul of all souls, who's the Lord of all lords. There's no other process to achieve him. You have that kind of Lord of Lords, you have that in the Bible. They have some understanding that their devatas exist. There is no other process to achieve him. That supreme potency of the Lord is known as Gokuleshwari, the goddess of Gokul. Her nature is said to be completely absorbed in love of God, and through her, one could easily attain the primeval God, the Lord of all that be. The internal potency of the Lord has a covering potency. That's covering. Avarnatmaka. Avritam, as you say in Gita. Guna, this is Yogamaya Samavritaha. Vrita covering. Known as Mahamaya, who rules over the material world. In fact, he bewilders the entire universe, and thus everyone within this universe falsely identifies himself with the material body. From the above, we can understand the internal and external are superior and inferior potencies of the Supreme Lord are personified as Yoga Maya and Maha Maya, respectively. The name Durga is sometimes used to refer to the internal superior potency, as stated in the Pancharatra. Quote, in all mantras used to worship Krishna, the presiding deity is known as Durga. This transcendental sound vibrations, glorifying and worshipping the absolute truth, Krishna, the presiding deity of the particular mantra or hymn, is called Durga. The name Durga therefore refers also to that personality who functions as the internal potency of the Lord and who is on the platform of Shuddha Sattva, pure transcendental existence. This internal potency is understood to be Krishna's sister, also known as Ekanamsha or Subhadra. This is the Durga who was worshipped by the gopis in Vrindavan. Several acharyas have pointed out that ordinary people are sometimes bewildered and think the names Mahamaya and Durga refer exclusively to the external potency of the Lord. And we're nearing the finish, the end of this purport soon. If we are to accept hypothetically that the gopis were worshipping the external Maya, there would be no fault on their part. Since their pastime of loving Krishna, they are also acting as ordinary members of society. Srila Prabhupada comments in this regard. The Vaishnavas generally do not worship any demigods. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has strictly forbidden all the worship of the demigods for anyone who wants to advance in pure devotional service. Yet the gopis, who are beyond compare in their affection for Krishna, were seen to worship Durga. The worshippers of the demigods are sometimes mentioned that the gopis worship goddess Durga. But we must understand the purpose of the gopis. Generally, people worship goddess Durga for some material benediction. Here, the gopis prayed to the goddess to become wives of Lord Krishna. The purport is that if Krishna is the center activity, a devotee can adopt any means to achieve that goal. The gopis could not adopt any means to satisfy, serve Krishna. Could adopt any means. That was the super excellent characteristics of the gopis. They worshiped goddess Durga completely for 1 month in order to have Krishna as their husband. Every day they prayed for Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, to become their husband. The conclusion is that a sincere devotee of Krishna will never imagine any material quality to exist in the transcendental gopis, who are the most exalted devotees of the Lord. The only motivation in all their activities was simply to love and satisfy Krishna. And if we foolishly consider their activities to be mundane in any way, it will be impossible for us to understand Krishna consciousness. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagadam Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Katachana Smite Yasmin Duskaram Shukaram Bhavit Vismate Viparitam Shat Shri Chaitanya Navamitam. So we hear it's described that the worship of the demigods is condemned by Krishna. It's not forbidden, but it is condemned. And condemned for what purpose? Kamastaster hitagana padyantena devata tam tamimam ashtaya prakatiniata swaya. Why is somebody, generally, what is the motivation that drives someone to approach the various devatas? Kamasaster. One is driven by kama, material desires. And when you're driven by kama, then Hrita Jnana, as we say, Chitta Hari, Mano Hari. Krishna is a thief. He is a thief of the heart. So this Hritta is the actual thief where knowledge becomes stolen. In this circumstance, in this verse, Kama says there, Hitta Jnana means your knowledge has been taken away by, your jnana has been taken away by Kama. Kama says there, Hitta Jnana Prapadyante na Devata. This is from the Prapadyante chapter, the surrender chapter. Krishna talks about this Prapadyante many times in chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita. Who surrenders, who doesn't surrender, who surrenders to the devas, why do they surrender, who after many lives of jnana, then they surrender. So this prapadyante is completely repeatedly used in this chapter. Prapadyante, surrender. Tamasaster jnana prapadyante na devata tam tamimamashtaya prakati niyatasvaya. Yo yam tanum bhakta shara archita nichiti tashachara tashatasharab shadham tameva vidyadamyaham. And a person who's in that mood, driven by kama, Krishna is actually gives the person faith in the devatas. He is the one that is directing that individual. As a Ishwas, what is that verse? Ishvara Sarvabhutaram Hriday She Arjuna Tishtiti Brahmayan Sarva. So he's directing. So Shadayanvita, he gives this Shraddha, this faith, this eagerness, this interest, this willingness. Tepi Mamavit Kunte Yajanti Viti Purvakam. Oh, that's I think chapter 9. Viti Purvakam is from chapter 9. Kamasaster Hitagyana Prapadyantena Devata Tam Tam Ashta Yo Yom Yantana Chitam Ichiti Tashacharshanam Chara. Sataya Shariya Yuktas Tasararanam Ihate Labate Tata Kama Mamaiva Vihitan Hitan. So he says, I not only give them the faith, I'm the one who arranges the reward also. It's all being arranged by me. But they're because they're driven by material desires, it means they're not interested in me. They're interested in their material desires. So I direct them in this way. This is a way you can fulfill your material desires and still get some benefit. As Burijan Prabhu describes in chapter 3, his study guide to Bhagavad Gita, As They Surrender Unto Me, verse 16, he describes a whole progression where a person can be driven by material desires and approach this, be in this Vedic culture, and they approach the demigods for their material desires, and then they receive the rewards. And then the person can hear more from the Brahmanas. And by hearing more from the Brahmanas, they hear that you, instead of, they not only hearing more, but they experience this world is full of suffering. So why should I ask for a nice home in this world? Why should I ask for a nice husband, a nice wife? Why should I ask for a nice son? This world has so much suffering. So what do I want? I want to go to the higher planets. Well, I want to live like Indra, where they live for thousands of years. So behind that is this understanding of the eternality of the self. So there's some jnana that is developed there. But also, the more they hear, the more association they get from the sadhus, the sastra, the brahmanas, they're also going to hear that even Indra has problems. Even Indra, there's fears, competition of his position. Even there is, the Bhagavatam describes 11th canto, that there is also the problem of envy there. So many problems are there. So in this way, they rise out of the karma kanda, they become a karma yogi. Maybe get a little bit of jnana there. Jnana, they come to the path of where they start developing spiritual knowledge. And there's two types of karma yogis. There's the Brahmavadi and the Bhakta. And so they start to be directed in this way by hearing, by associating with the sadhus, by associating with the sastra, by associating with the brahmanas. They are gradually, progressively being directed. This is a very slow path. As what does it say? There's like one little pond village would have a pond to wash your dish. The village would have a pond to take shower. There's so many different little ponds that so you don't have cross contamination. But if you have one great reservoir, everything can be fulfilled. So by going to Krishna, everything can be satisfied. Akama sarva kamava moksha kama udharati chivena bhakti yogena so yajete purusham param. That if you whatever desire you have, this if you go to the great reservoir, you go to Krishna, everything can be satisfied in that connection. So in the 7th chapter, it continues, Antavatu palam tesham. If a person is attached to the temporary fruits of this world, he considers those persons, he says those persons have meager meda, meager brains. If you're really through your religiosity, you're seeking temporary things. Krishna is speaking very harshly. He says, I'm sorry, you have a very meager brain. Such persons, they're driven to go to the devas. And they actually, if they're going that way, they take birth as devas. But my bhaktas, they come back to me. What's wrong with taking birth as devas? That Krishna will discuss in chapter 9. So there he says, this is very short-sighted, not very smart. So in chapter 9, he discussed what's wrong with taking birth as devas. So he says, Trividyamam soma paputa papa yagyasvakatam papayate te pudyam ashadra shalenda lokan ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan. So you take birth as a demigod, you enjoy the somaras, you have your beautiful associates, and you're enjoying divideva bhogan, divine delight. Okay, well, what's wrong? What's wrong then? Then he says in the next verse, what's the first line? Did you know? Krishna Kumar? 21, text 21 of chapter 9. Next. Tetam bhukta swagatam vishalam shine punye martya lokam vishanti. Te punyam ashadra sharenda lokan ashnan. No, I'm going back to this. Trividyamam samaputa papa. Does anybody? Let's pull up that verse.
Evam trayi dharma.
Anuprapana gatam kama labante. So you have this credit card. Have anybody here has been on a cruise? Anybody? Raise your hand if you've been on a cruise. Anybody? Not seeing any hands. I'm not so interested in going on a cruise myself.
Henry Prabhu.
Okay, Henry. Now, did you have a good time on the cruise? Oh, okay. Why aren't you still there? Oh, he's muted. He's muted. You can unmute.
He's muted. He ran out of cash. You gotta unmute him.
It was very cold. It was 1979. We went to the North Cape of Norway, and actually it was daylight all day up there, up by the North Pole. It actually wasn't cold, it was warm, but the sun never went down. So you can't stay there forever. You know, it was just a very temporary thing.
Oh, okay. William raised his hand too. Now, Ananda Bihari gave my answer. He said, generally, you don't stay on the cruise because you run out of cash. You go on the cruise, but you can't stay. You're not making any money while you're on the cruise. You're spending your money. So Krishna, in this verse, he says, Shine punye. Shine, when it's finished, when your punya, when your credit is finished, that brought you do some piety, you go up to the heavenly planets, and then you just start burning it away, then vishanti, you fall back down to this world. And Gatam gatam kama labante. What have you gained? He says, nothing. You haven't really gained anything. At least Henry might have a souvenir. If you were a demigod in your past life, you don't even get to keep any souvenirs. There's nothing to even take with you. So gatam gatam kalabante. I guess dharmasya hyapavargasya is narto artaya upakopate. Dharmakandasya kamo labaya hismita. Oh no, the verse before that. Dharmasya, what is that? This is Shamahi Kevalam. When we engage our dharma just for the material things, then it's actually considered just hard work. We're working so hard, we're working for something, but we don't get to keep it. It just disappears eventually. So there's shrama, parishrama. It's just hard work, and then it's gone. What have we really gained? And so Krishna then, he continues to speak about this worship, and he contrasts it to bhakti. He says, Anyas chintayan tomam, je jana paripashate, tesham nityabhyuktadam yogakshamam ahamyam. So I guess for my devotees, I'm giving them special care, special attention. I'm taking care of them. I'm supporting them. I'm even supporting their material needs. And then, Ye panya devata bhakta yajante shariyan vita tepima kunteya yajanti vidhi purvakam. So this is where he says those who they're worshiping the demigods are actually worshiping me, but they're not doing it in the right way. It is not according to the right mood, right regulation. It's a vidhi, like a vidhi nisheda, the rules and regulations. So vidhi purvakam. They're not following the actual proper rule. And the rule is, what is number 2 rules that we follow? 2 important rules.
Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna.
Yes. So this is always, there's always be, that's the do, and what is the don't? Never forget. Vidhi nisheda. You got the do's and the don'ts. So it's still one thing though. And so we're always trying to develop this relationship with Krishna. And so therefore, the worship of the various demigods is not at all recommended. We have examples of the gopis. Now, all the examples of these gopis and certain personalities, they're done with certain qualifications. In the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 19, I believe, at the end, Krishna speaking to Uddhava, and he's telling him all these things. This is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. At the end, he says, Guna dosha drishter dosho. But to see good and bad is itself bad. And then Uddhava, after that, he's like, what? Wait, I don't understand what you're saying. What is this? You have in the Vedas, don't do this, do this. Then you do this, you go have a new plan. You do that, oh, you're going to suffer. But now how you're saying now, this is, this don't, now to see good and bad is itself bad. And so then Krishna explains in that chapter how everything has a certain adhikar, certain qualification. Like there was a disciple of Gopal Bhatt Goswami, and he was chewing betel nut on Ekadashi. Now, these Vrindavan devotees, these 6 Goswamis, Ekadashi, they don't take anything. What to speak of betel nut. Usually ISKCON devotees were not taking betel nut. This is a little bit intoxicating. And so the disciple said, well, I'm very, I like this betel nut, and I just, it's prasad. And he said, no, you can, it's prasad, you can take next day, but Ekadashi, you shouldn't take this. Like we don't take the grains of prasad on, it could be Mahaprasad. We don't take it on Ekadashi. But he did not, take it very, he wasn't accepting this instruction from his guru. Gopal Bhatt Goswami was his guru. And then the next day again, he was 2 weeks later, again, he saw his guru saw him. He's like, he's still again chewing betel nut. And he says, I reject you, the guru said. He said, I'm not going to accept this. And then some misfortune later happened. He was still a great devotee, but some misfortune happened. And then he came and apologized to his guru. And it's understood that how we are supposed to enact our life is according to a certain adhikar, certain qualification. Like, for example, say you have some problem and you go to the temple, you ask somebody, I have this problem with this person. What should I do? Usually you'll hear, practice some patience, tolerance. Arjuna was told, kill them. There was a different qualification. He's a Kshatriya. It was a war. He had lives to protect. And there's evil people who are taking over the place. So there, particular qualification, particular circumstance, the what is the actual path will be different. So the gopis, they're able to approach Goddess Katyayani without any material desires. Whereas we may approach a devata and there's the material desire. Therefore, some sampradayas, like a Ramanuja sampradaya, they are very strict. They get very upset if you're from a Ramanuja sampradaya. You go into even the devata temple. Well, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he visited all the Shiva temples. He was very, he was Shiva, but Yata Vaishnam Shambhu. He was Shiva's great devotee. But Ramanuja sampradaya, even they had this Kanchipurnam. There's the land of Ramanuja, and there's two sides of it. There's a Shiva Kanchipuram and Vishnu Kanchipuram. What to speak of even going to the temple? They say don't even go to that side of the town. Very, very strict. But the idea is Ananya Bhakti, that our devotion should not be spliced in any way. We should understand who is the root of everything and direct our heart in that way, and not be motivated by any kind of material desires. And even if we do have material desires, then approach that reservoir, kama sarva kama bhav. Everything can be satisfied there. So, so here we have the gopis. They're approaching Goddess Katyayani. They're these great exalted devotees. We'll hear more and more about them. This is very esoteric. We can become inspired by their great devotion, and we can become enlivened when we hear of their great determination and devotion. So, Om Tat Sat. Thanks a lot. Any reflections?
Thank you, Nityananda, Chandra Prabhu. Beautiful class. Temple room, any reflections? Zoom audience. It's 8:01. It's very, very tight. It has to be a tight reflection.
There's only 30 seconds. They haven't got darshan yet.
Okay. Here comes the darshan. Cameras on, please, if you can.
I'll share one more verse at the end.
Yeah, thank you. Dorashan Prabhu, we love you.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Okay, it's Afterglow. Nityananda Chandra. You wanted to share one verse?
Yes, aham hi sarva yajnanam bhoktacha prabhuevacha. What is the next line? Nakumam abhijana vidachachavayanti te. So this is continuing on in chapter 9. He's continuing on that same line. And he says that I'm the bhokta, I'm the the enjoyer and the Lord, the Prabhu, the master and the enjoyer of the sacrifice. And one who doesn't understand that this is the root. Chavayanti te, they fall down, they keep on staying in this world. Yanti Deva, he continues, Yanti Deva Prita Devan, Priti Yanti Prativata, Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja, Yanti Mam Yachinupamam. So you take birth as demigods, take birth as ghosts, take birth as the Pritris, the forefathers. But if you worship me, you come approach me, you come back to me. And so you have the example of King Nigra, he accidentally gave a cow to two different brahmanas, the same one cow, and they cursed him. And it's described that he was in a situation because he wasn't actually a pure bhakta. He was this karma kanda worship. It's any little tiny mistake and you suffer. Whereas Krishna is saying, Ananyas Chintayamantamam, I'm giving you protection. I'm caring for you. I'm watching over you. Versus just trying to do everything. I mean, this king, he did everything. He donated thousands of cows in charity. He did such pious activities, but he suffered because he wasn't getting that supervision of Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu. Just to reflect, it is Krishna who is the enjoyer. It is Krishna who is the star of our show, as it was said so nicely a couple classes ago. It's Krishna that is enjoying, not you, Hemangi, not you, William Prabhu, not you, Vanisha. It's Krishna, not you, Bruce, not you, Yogeshwari, not you, Met Prabhu, not you, Suzanne, Krishna, not you, Preeti Chaturvedi. Not you, Dana, Krishna's Radharani. Not you, Amrita Kishori Didi. Not you, Kartik Prabhu. Not you, Sharmila. Not you, Bhima Prabhu.
Not you, Ananda Bihari, with your scones and your feasts and your beautiful family. Not you.
Yeah, Bhima Prabhu, thank you for keeping me humble. I need that. Okay, yeah, Krishna is enjoying, and we're enjoying together with Krishna. There's nothing wrong with that. I was at the Brooklyn Temple yesterday night. I enjoyed wonderful prasadam. I enjoyed wonderful association with the devotees. I saw Nityananda Chandra Prabhu. I touched his head even. So that was very enjoyable. So enjoyment, there's nothing wrong with that if it's done in Krishna's service. Bhima Prabhu.
I think William has a question. He has his hand.
Yeah, William.
Wait, I gotta stop laughing. You too much. Hold on. Okay. So I don't know if it's a reflection or a question. Oh yeah, question. So my question is, and I think it's related to the class only in the sense that it's Krishna related. The 16 rounds that we're told we should do every day, right? I've always found it difficult to complete my 16 rounds in 2 hours, right? And when I went to the Prabhupada chanting YouTube video, I was like, wow, Prabhupada, like him, I wouldn't be done.
Oh, cut out.
William Prabhu, you're breaking up. Yeah, we lost William Prabhu. Okay. Yeah, 2 hours. I don't know. No, I do 1 hour, 20 minutes, 1.5 hours. If it's 2 hours, it's just.
Okay. So
William, you back?
So yeah, I got bad reception. I'm in the emergency room. So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. My thing is, it would be so helpful if we had like a little group we can walk out with and just chat with them. And then it's funny, one of the devotees texted me, yeah, we're doing it at the Washington Square Park, in the Harinam there. It's really important that we reach out to others who don't know where we can meet the devotees and chant together, because they say iron sharpens iron, Anyway, I think I lost.
Jamuna Jaya has an online japa group. We'll ask Jamuna Jaya. She has an online.
No, I mean in person, not online.
In person.
This online thing is, I want to be around devotees.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
a lot of devotees.
That's my issue. I don't know if it's a question or. Sorry.
Yeah, I know a lot of devotees.
Hello?
When they read Prabhupada's books, and they're like, okay, this japa thing, let me try it out. And they would chant one round. It would take them like 45 minutes just to do one. Hare Krishna. Like how is it even possible? I'm going to do this for 8 hours just to do 16 or something. It would take them forever just to do one round. And when they came in the association of the devotees, it just somehow made it much easier in how to chant clearly. But when you do it with devotees, yeah, it becomes a lot easier.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, brother.
And Sharmila said she would like some information. We can pass
Jamuna Jaya. We'll ask Jamuna Jaya next time she's here. Okay. Yeah, it's so easy to be a pure devotee when you're around other devotees, right? I feel like a pure devotee when I'm in your association.
Totally agree. Like the Bible says, iron sharpens iron. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
William, you might want to try out the New York Harinam that goes on in what park is that?
It's different places.
They said Washington Square Park. The Harinam happens at the Washington Square Park. One of the devotees just texted me this morning.
You just have to
Yeah.
get on their WhatsApp group, and they'll tell you which place they will be on which day.
And William, for you at this point in time, being with devotees singing Sankirtan is just as important as chanting your japa, just as important, if not more important. So if
I
you
agree.
can, during the middle of the day, make it there, you've got association plus chanting plus joy. And
Hare
it's a
Krishna.
wonderful thing. And it's free. Hare
And it's
Krishna.
every day, William. It's every day, no matter what. They chant out there in the streets or subway.
Information. Just need the information. That's
Okay,
all.
yeah. I'll get you that. I'll get you on the group.
You got my number.
Yeah, I got your number. All right.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, everybody. Have a wonderful Monday. Remember Krishna, put
Hare.
Krishna in the center, and everything will fall into place. And thank you very much for attending this class so steadily. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.